Some ammo isn't just powerful, it crosses a line. In 2025, certain high-performance ammunition has been banned or restricted in several states due to their ability to penetrate body armor, vehicles, or law enforcement gear. Today, we're counting down 8 lethal loads that have been made illegal in some states and exploring why they crossed that line. This one's serious, so let's jump in responsibly. Starting our countdown at number 8, we have Dragon's Breath Incendiary Rounds. Chapter 8. Dragon's Breath Incendiary Rounds. These specialized 12-gauge shotgun shells contain magnesium pellets mixed with a chemical oxidizer that ignite upon firing, creating a spectacular fireball effect that extends up to 100 feet from the muzzle. Originally developed for military applications and specialized clearing operations, Dragon's Breath rounds burn at temperatures exceeding 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt aluminum and ignite most combustible materials on contact. The manufacturing process involves loading the shell with a carefully measured mixture of magnesium shavings, iron oxide, and binding agents. When the powder charge detonates, it ignites this mixture, which continues burning as it travels downrange. The effect resembles a flamethrower blast, with burning particles scattered in a cone pattern that can extend far beyond the initial fireball. What makes these rounds particularly lethal isn't just their penetrating power, it's their ability to start fires and cause severe burns. The magnesium payload creates an incendiary effect that can ignite flammable materials, making them extremely dangerous in urban environments or dry conditions. The burning particles can penetrate light clothing and cause third-degree burns, while the intense heat can ignite gasoline vapors, dry vegetation, or building materials at considerable distances. Law enforcement agencies have documented numerous incidents where Dragon's Breath rounds caused unintended fires, including a 2019 case in Oregon where a single round ignited a wildfire that burned over 400 acres. The rounds are also notoriously unpredictable. Wind conditions can scatter burning particles over much wider areas than anticipated. California has specifically banned Dragon's Breath rounds under their incendiary device statutes, classifying them as destructive devices rather than standard ammunition. The state's Penal Code Section 16,460 explicitly prohibits manufacture, import, sale, or possession, with penalties including up to 3 years in state prison and $10,000 in fines. New York follows similar restrictions under their destructive device laws, with possession carrying penalties of up to $10,000 in fines and potential felony charges. Massachusetts treats them as explosive devices with mandatory minimum sentences of 2 years for possession. Illinois restricts their sale to law enforcement only, while Connecticut has banned them entirely with no exceptions. At number 7, we have the infamous Teflon-Coated bullets, better known as cop killer rounds. Chapter 7. Teflon-Coated Cop Killer Bullets. These are standard bullets coated with polytetrafluoroethylene, Teflon, to reduce barrel wear and improve accuracy. The coating was originally developed by KTW Inc. in the 1960s for law enforcement use against vehicle engines and hard targets. The development team, consisting of 3 partners, Kopsch, Turkis, and Ward, created these rounds specifically for police departments dealing with armed suspects hiding behind car doors and engine blocks. The manufacturing process involves applying a thin layer of Teflon coating to bullets that typically feature hardened cores made of brass, bronze, or steel. The Teflon serves as a lubricant, reducing friction as the bullet travels through the barrel and supposedly improving accuracy by preventing lead fouling. However, the media dubbed them cop killer bullets due to widespread misconceptions about their armor-piercing capabilities. While the Teflon coating itself doesn't enhance penetration, contrary to popular belief, these bullets became controversial because they were often made with hardened cores of brass or steel beneath the coating. The real danger comes from the dense core material, not the slippery coating. but the Teflon became the focus of public fear after sensationalized media reports in the 1980s. The coating actually has minimal effect on armor penetration. It's the hard metal core that does the damage. Laboratory tests have shown that Teflon-coated bullets with lead cores perform similarly to standard ammunition against body armor. However, when combined with hardened metal cores, they can defeat soft body armor designed to stop conventional lead bullets. The psychological impact of the cop killer name proved more powerful than the actual ballistic performance. The Federal Law Enforcement Officers Protection Act of 1986 banned the manufacture and importation of armor-piercing handgun ammunition, which effectively covered most Teflon-coated rounds with hardened cores. The legislation specifically targets ammunition that can be fired from handguns and penetrate soft body armor, regardless of the coating material. Individual states followed suit with their own restrictions. New Jersey specifically bans any ammunition coated with Teflon or similar materials under NJSA 2C39-3, with violations carrying up to 18 months in prison and $10,000 in fines. California's Penal Code section 30,315 prohibits armor-piercing ammunition, with penalties ranging from $1,000 fines to felony charges depending on circumstances. New York treats possession as a Class E felony under Penal Law Section 265.05, while Connecticut has similar prohibitions with enhanced penalties for repeat offenders. Taking the number 6 spot, we have Steel Core 5.56/223 ammunition. Chapter 6. Steel Core 5.56/223 ammunition. These rounds feature a steel penetrator core surrounded by lead and encased in a copper jacket, most commonly seen in the M855 green tip ammunition adopted by the U.S. military in the 1980s. Originally designed for military use to defeat Soviet body armor during the Cold War era, the steel core provides enhanced penetration against light armor and barriers that would stop conventional lead core ammunition. The lethality factor comes from their ability to punch through soft body armor that would stop standard lead core bullets. Level 2IA and They-2 body armor, commonly worn by law enforcement, can be defeated by these rounds when fired from rifles. The steel penetrator maintains its shape and momentum even after initial impact, making it significantly more dangerous to law enforcement personnel wearing standard protective gear. The rounds also exhibit superior barrier-blind performance, meaning they retain more of their energy and accuracy after passing through obstacles like car doors, drywall, and glass. This characteristic makes them effective for military applications, but problematic in civilian contexts where overpenetration is a concern. Several states have moved to restrict these rounds based on their armor-piercing capabilities. California bans the sale of steel core handgun ammunition to civilians under Penal Code Section 30,315, with violations punishable by up to 1 year in jail and $1,000 fines. The state's definition specifically includes any ammunition with a steel core that can be fired from a handgun, which covers AR-15 pistols chambered in 5.56 divided by .223. The ATF has repeatedly considered reclassifying M855 ammunition as armor-piercing under federal law, which would ban its civilian sale entirely. In 2015, the agency proposed such a reclassification, but backed down after significant public opposition. However, the threat of federal action has made many states proactive in their own restrictions. At number 5, we encounter frangible ammunition with tungsten cores. Chapter 5. Frangible ammunition with tungsten cores. These rounds represent a technological paradox in ammunition design. Bullets engineered to disintegrate upon impact with hard surfaces while simultaneously delivering devastating terminal ballistics through tungsten powder cores. Originally developed for close-quarters training and federal air marshal use, these rounds were designed to eliminate ricochet risks in aircraft and urban environments while maintaining stopping power. The tungsten core variants are particularly lethal because they deliver massive energy transfer while reducing overpenetration risks in certain scenarios. The dense tungsten creates catastrophic wound channels in soft tissue through superior energy dump, while the frangible design theoretically reduces the risk of bullets passing through walls to endanger bystanders. However, this best-of-both-worlds approach has created significant controversy. Several incidents have heightened concerns about these rounds. In 2018, a police shooting in Nevada involved tungsten frangible rounds that penetrated the suspect's body armor, leading to questions about whether the ammunition gave officers an unfair advantage. Similar concerns have been raised about their use in civilian self-defense situations. Number 4 brings us to depleted uranium penetrator rounds. Chapter 4: Depleted uranium penetrators. These are military-grade, armor-piercing rounds that use depleted uranium, DU, as the penetrator core, representing some of the most lethal small arms ammunition ever developed. Depleted uranium is a byproduct of the uranium enrichment process, containing about 60% of the radioactivity of natural uranium while being 1.7 times denser than lead. This exceptional density, combined with its pyrophoric properties, makes it incredibly effective at defeating heavy armor. The lethality of these rounds is extreme. They can penetrate several inches of hardened steel armor while creating additional incendiary effects. The uranium's pyrophoric properties mean it ignites on impact, creating temperatures exceeding 3,000 degrees Celsius. This incendiary effect can ignite fuel, ammunition, or other flammable materials inside armored vehicles, creating secondary explosions and fires. Number 3. Explosive tip ammunition. At number 3, we have explosive tip ammunition. These rounds contain small explosive charges housed within hollow point cavities or specialized bullet tips, designed to detonate upon impact or after a predetermined delay following penetration. Originally developed for military anti-materiel applications during World War II, modern versions represent some of the most controversial ammunition ever created for small arms. Federal law classifies explosive ammunition as destructive devices under the National Firearms Act, specifically 26 U.S.C. Section 5845F. This classification requires registration, background checks, and payment of a $200 tax stamp for each round. The paperwork process typically takes 6 to 12 months, making these rounds impractical for most users even where legal. The ATF has issued specific guidance that any projectile containing more than 1/4 ounce of explosive material automatically qualifies as a destructive device, while smaller amounts may still qualify depending on their design and intended use. This creates legal uncertainty around even tiny explosive charges. Number 2. Sabot-Discarding fin-stabilized penetrators. Taking the number 2 position, we have Sabot-Discarding fin-stabilized penetrators. These are ultra-high-velocity rounds that use a plastic sabot to hold a smaller, denser penetrator during firing. After leaving the barrel, the sabot falls away, leaving a fin-stabilized dart traveling at extreme velocities, often exceeding 4,000 feet per second. The design maximizes penetration through kinetic energy rather than bullet mass. The lethality comes from the extreme velocity and the penetrator's ability to maintain stability over long distances. These rounds can defeat multiple layers of body armor and continue through vehicle doors, walls, and other barriers while retaining lethal energy. The small frontal area concentrates all the kinetic energy into a tiny impact point. California has banned civilian possession of sabot ammunition, with penalties including up to $10,000 fines and potential felony charges. New York classifies them as armor-piercing with similar penalties. Massachusetts requires special licensing with extensive background checks and storage requirements. The federal government has also restricted certain military variants under ITAR regulations, making importation and manufacture difficult. Several states are considering additional restrictions as commercial versions become available. Civilian interest centered on the extreme range and penetration capabilities, but the armor-defeating performance triggered legislative responses across multiple states. Number 1. Raufoss multipurpose ammunition. Taking the #1 spot on our countdown, we have Raufoss multipurpose ammunition. The Raufoss MK211 is a .50 caliber round that combines armor-piercing, explosive, and incendiary effects in a single cartridge. Developed in Norway, it features a tungsten penetrator, explosive charge, and incendiary material. Upon impact, it penetrates armor, detonates explosively, and ignites flammable materials, making it a triple-threat round. This ammunition represents the pinnacle of small arms lethality. It can penetrate over an inch of hardened steel, explode with enough force to destroy vehicle components, and start fires in fuel tanks or other flammable materials. The combination of effects makes it devastatingly effective against both personnel and material targets. The Raufoss is heavily restricted under federal law as both armor-piercing and explosive ammunition. The ATF classifies it as a destructive device, requiring NFA registration and approval. Most states have banned civilian possession entirely. California imposes penalties up to $25,000 and 10 years imprisonment. Texas, Florida, and Arizona have similar restrictions with varying penalty structures. International agreements also restrict export of this technology, making civilian acquisition nearly impossible through legal channels. The few civilian legal variants available are significantly downgraded versions that lack the explosive components. Military and law enforcement agencies use these rounds for anti-materiel roles, but the extreme capabilities made civilian restrictions inevitable across all jurisdictions. These 8 rounds didn't just push limits, they crossed legal lines in multiple states. As shooters, it's our responsibility to know what we can and can't use. Always stay informed on your local laws and choose ammunition that's both safe and compliant. Which band surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this eye-opening, hit like, subscribe, and click the bell for more ammo insights and legal updates.